learn English through story. The forbidden desire of lust. In the bustling city of Everwood, where the skyline kissed the clouds and the nightlife pulsed with an electric energy, two lives were about to intersect in a way that would change them forever. Sarah, a dedicated nurse in her 30s, led a life grounded in responsibility. Filled with early morning shifts and late night call-outs, her existence revolved around helping others, and although she found satisfaction in her work, she felt an emptiness in her personal life. Love had eluded her, leaving her yearning for something more, a connection that ignited her soul. Then there was Alex, a charismatic artist with a penchant for living on the edge. In his late 20s, he thrived in the vibrant world of creativity, channeling his emotions into bold strokes of color on canvas. Yet, beneath his confident exterior lay a heart burdened by past traumas, a broken relationship that had left scars deeper than any brush could conceal. As he immersed himself in his art, he too longed for a connection that could rekindle the flame of passion he once knew. Their paths crossed one fateful night at an art gallery opening, an event that showcased Alex's latest collection. Sarah had reluctantly agreed to attend, pushed by her friends who believed she needed to step out of her comfort zone. The gallery was alive with chatter, the air thick with the scent of wine and the thrill of creativity. As Sarah wandered through the exhibit, her eyes caught the vibrant colors and wild brush strokes of Alex's paintings. Each piece resonated with a raw emotion that struck a chord within her. It was as if the canvas spoke to her, drawing her in with a magnetic force. "Beautiful, isn't it?" A voice interrupted her thoughts. Sarah turned to find a strikingly handsome man standing beside her, a playful smile dancing on his lips. His tousled hair and upset eyes conveyed an air of mystery. "Absolutely," she replied, her heart fluttering. "There's so much emotion in these pieces." "Thank you," he said, extending his hand. "I'm Alex, the artist." "Sarah," she introduced herself, shaking his hand. A jolt of electricity surged between them, leaving her breathless. They quickly fell into a conversation, discussing art, life, and the hidden depths of their souls. As the night unfolded, laughter filled the spaces between them, creating a tapestry of connection that felt both exhilarating and forbidden. Sarah found herself drawn to Alex's passion, his views on art reflecting a depth she had not encountered before. "There's something about the way you look at my paintings," he mused, studying her intently. "You see more than just colors, you see the story behind them." "I guess I've always had an affinity for stories," Sarah admitted, her heart racing under his gaze. "I believe every piece of art has a life of its own, just waiting to be uncovered." Their conversation deepened, and as the evening progressed, an undeniable tension began to build between them. The flirtation was electric, charged with the promise of something more, yes, something forbidden. As the event wound down and the crowd began to thin, Alex leaned closer, his breath warm against her ear. "Would you like to grab a drink, just the two of us?" Sarah hesitated for a moment, glancing at the door where her friends had disappeared. She felt the familiar pull of responsibility, but it was quickly overshadowed by the thrill of possibility. "Sure, why not?" They ventured to a nearby bar, its dim lighting and intimate atmosphere creating the perfect backdrop for their burgeoning connection. They shared stories, dreams, and fears, each revelation drawing them closer. Sarah felt a sense of liberation as she opened up to Alexa. He listened intently, his eyes never leaving hers. As the hours slipped by, the line between friendship and desire blurred. When their hands brushed against each other, a spark ignited, sending shivers down her spine. It was then that Sarah realized just how much she craved this connection, a connection that felt forbidden yet exhilarating. "There's something about you, Sarah," Alex said, his voice low and husky. "I can't quite put my finger on it, but it pulls me in." She met his gaze, her heart pounding. "I feel it too." Without thinking, Sarah leaned in, their lips almost touching. In that suspended moment, she could taste the possibility of what could be, but just as quickly, fear washed over her, a fear of crossing a line she had worked so hard to maintain. "What are we doing?" she whispered, pulling back slightly, her breath mingling with the intoxicating scent of his cologne. "We're exploring the unknown," he replied, his eyes darkening with desire. "What if we don't stop? What if we embrace this?" Torn between her longing and the fear of consequences, Sarah found herself at a crossroads. On one hand, there was the thrill of indulging in a desire that felt forbidden. On the other, the reality of their life as the lives they had built, the responsibilities they held. "Alex," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "I can't. We can't. This is all too much." He sighed, the moment slipping through their fingers like sand. "I understand, but it doesn't change how I feel." As they left the bar, the air crackled with unspoken words. They walked side by side, the distance between them both physical and emotional. Sarah's mind raced, contemplating the implications of what had almost happened. Days turned into weeks, and the encounter at the gallery lingered in Sarah's thoughts, a bittersweet memory tainted with regret. She returned to her routine, but her heart ached for the connection she had shared with Alex. Despite her best efforts, she couldn't shake the feeling that something vital had been awakened within her. Meanwhile, Alex found himself pouring his emotions into his art, creating pieces that reflected his turmoil. Each stroke of the brush was a cathartic release, but the void left by Sarah's absence gnawed at him. He longed for her presence, the way she made him feel alive. One rainy evening, unable to resist the pull any longer, Alex made his way to the hospital where Sarah worked. The familiar scent of antiseptic and the low hum of machinery surrounded him as he approached the nurse's station. "Hey, is Sarah around?" he asked one of the nurses, trying to appear casual. "She's on break, you can wait for her in the lounge," the nurse replied with a knowing smile. The lounge was a small, cozy space filled with mismatched furniture and the sound of rain tapping against the window. As he settled into a chair, anticipation mingled with anxiety. Would she feel the same way he did? Would their moment at the bar linger in her memory as it did in his? When Sarah walked in, her face lit up with surprise. "Alex, what are you doing here?" "I needed to see you," he admitted, rising to meet her. The tension between them was palpable, a reminder of their unfinished business. "Is everything okay?" she asked, her eyes searching his. "Not really," he confessed, rubbing the back of his neck. "I've been thinking about our last conversation, and I can't shake the feeling that we should have explored this." Her heart raced as he spoke, and the flood of memories rushed back. "I thought about it too," she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. "But it's complicated, Alex." "Complicated doesn't mean impossible," he countered, stepping closer. "I want to be with you, Sarah. I can't ignore this connection anymore." She took a deep breath, wrestling with the emotions swirling within her. "But what about my job? What about our lives? We can't just throw everything away." "Maybe we can find a way to make it work," he suggested, his intensity piercing through her hesitation. "Life is too short to deny what we feel. We can be careful, we can be discreet." Sarah's heart raced at his words, the thrill of possibility igniting a fire within her. Yet, doubt lingered in her mind. What if it complicates everything? What if we ruin our lives? Or what if we find something beautiful? He countered softly, "Something worth fighting for." In that moment, the weight of their desires hung in the air, heavy with unspoken promises. Sarah's resolve began to crumble under the weight of her longing. She looked deep into Alex's eyes, searching for reassurance. "Just one kiss," he whispered, leaning in closer. "No strings attached, just a taste of what could be." With her heart pounding in her chest, Sarah felt the walls she had built around her begin to crumble. She nodded slowly, and as their lips met, a surge of warmth enveloped them both. The kiss was electric, igniting every nerve ending, awakening a passion that had long been dormant. As they pulled away, breathless and wide-eyed, reality came crashing back in. "What are we doing?" Sarah gasped, her mind racing, exploring the unknown. Alex replied, a mischievous smile playing on his lips. As they met in secret over the following weeks, the thrill of their illicit romance grew, enveloping them in a whirlwind of passion and desire. They stole moments together, sharing stolen kisses and heated whispers in hidden corners of the city. The world around them faded as they became lost in each other's arms. But with every stolen moment, the weight of their secret grew heavier. Guilt gnawed at Sarah, reminding her of the consequences that lurked just beneath the surface. She struggled to reconcile her feelings for Alex with the life she had built. One evening, as they sat in a quiet cafe tilde copyright, Sarah's heart raced with anxiety. "What if someone finds out?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Then we deal with it together," Alex replied, his expression unwavering. "I don't want to hide anymore. I want to embrace what we have, no matter the consequences." "But what if it costs us everything?" she countered, her mind racing. "What if we lose our jobs, our reputations?" "I can't risk that." "Sometimes, taking risks is the only way to truly live," he urged, his eyes searching hers. "I'm willing to fight for this, for us." "Are you?" Torn between her fear and the intoxicating allure of their connection, Sarah felt the weight of the world pressing down on her. Yet, in that moment, she realized that love often demanded courage and a willingness to embrace the unknown, even when it scared her. As the days turned into weeks, the thrill of their forbidden romance began to fade, replaced by a nagging sense of unease. They both knew that their secret couldn't remain hidden forever. The pressure mounted as they navigated their lives in parallel, pretending that nothing had changed when, in fact, everything had. Then came the day when the consequences of their choices collided with their reality. It started as an ordinary shift for Sarah at the hospital, but the air crackled with tension. Whispers buzzed through the halls, and a sense of unease settled in her stomach. "Have you heard about the investigation?" a colleague said as they gathered for a break. Sarah's heart dropped. "What investigation?" "There's been talk of inappropriate relationships between staff members," her colleague replied, casting a wary glance around. "They're cracking down on fraternization. It could get messy." Panic surged through Sarah. She knew their secret couldn't remain hidden for long. The very thought of being exposed sent a chill down her spine. She rushed to find Alex, her mind racing with dread. When she found him, he looked equally shaken. "Did you hear?" he asked, his voice low. "Yes." "What are we going to do?" she replied, her heart pounding. "We need to be careful. We can't let anyone find out about us," Alex said, running a hand through his hair in frustration. "Careful isn't enough," Sarah shot back, her anxiety boiling over. "This could ruin everything we've worked for." "Maybe we should end this," he suggested, his voice heavy with resignation. "End it?" Sarah exclaimed, feeling a mix of anger and heartbreak. "You can't just throw it away after everything we've shared." "It's not that simple, Sarah," Alex argued, his eyes flashing. "We can't afford to be reckless. I can't lose my career, and you can't either." Her heart sank at the thought of losing him, of letting fear dictate their choices. "I don't want to lose you," she whispered, tears welling in her eyes. "I don't want to lose you either," he said softly, reaching for her hand. "But we have to be smart about this." As they stood together in that moment, the weight of their decisions pressed down on them like a heavy fog. They both knew that the allure of their forbidden romance had come at a price they were now forced to confront. In the following days, the tension at the hospital escalated, and rumors swirled like a tempest. Sarah and Alex navigated the chaos with caution, avoiding each other in public while desperately trying to hold on to the connection they had forged. But every glance, every brush of their hands, ignited a yearning that felt impossible to contain. Then came the day when their worlds collided in a way they never anticipated. Sarah arrived at work to find a crowd gathered around the nurse's station, their hushed whispers filling the air. Her heart raced as she pushed through the throng to discover what had transpired. "Did you hear? Alex got called into the office," a nurse whispered, her eyes wide with shock. "Called in for what?" Sarah asked, dread pooling in her stomach. "Word got out about the investigation. They're questioning him about relationships with staff," the nurse replied, her voice low. Panic surged through Sarah. They had always known this day could come, but the reality was far more terrifying than she had imagined. She felt a wave of nausea wash over her as the implications of their choices sank in. Without a second thought, she rushed to find Alex, her heart pounding in her chest. She found him in a small conference room, his face pale and eyes wide with fear. "Sarah," he breathed, his voice trembling. They know what?" she asked, her heart racing. "They know about us," he replied, his expression filled with anguish. "They're questioning me about inappropriate relationships. I can't let them find out it's you." Sarah's heart sank. The fear of losing him was overwhelming. "What are we going to do?" "We have to come clean," he said, determination flaring in his eyes. "I won't let them drag you down with me." "No," she protested, tears spilling down her cheeks. "I can't lose my job, Alex. We can't risk it all." "Sometimes, the truth is the only way forward," he urged, his voice fierce. "I'd rather face the consequences than let you bear the weight of this alone." As they stood there, the weight of their decisions pressing down upon them, Sarah realized that love demanded sacrifice. It was a terrifying truth, but she knew she couldn't let fear dictate her life any longer. "Okay," she whispered, her heart heavy. "We'll face it together." With a newfound resolve, they made their way to the administration office, hand in hand, ready to confront the storm that lay ahead. As they walked, Sarah felt a sense of clarity washing over her. Love was messy, complicated, and often fraught with consequences, but it was also a force that could illuminate the darkest corners of their lives. When they entered the office, the air was thick with tension. Their supervisor, a stern woman with a no-nonsense demeanor, looked up from her desk, her expression unreadable. "Alex." "Sarah," she said, her tone serious. "Please take a seat." As they sat down, Sarah felt the weight of the moment press heavily on her. They exchanged a glance, their fingers intertwined at a silent promise of solidarity. "We're here to address the rumors circulating about your relationship," the supervisor began, her voice steady. "This is a serious matter." Sarah's heart raced as she prepared to speak. "We'd like to address it directly," she said, her voice trembling but resolute. "We have been seeing each other, and we understand the implications." The supervisor raised an eyebrow, clearly taken aback. "You understand that this could lead to disciplinary action?" "Yes," Alex replied, his voice firm. "But we believe in being honest. We didn't mean to hide it, we just didn't know how to navigate the situation." As they explained their side of the story, Sarah felt a sense of empowerment wash over her. They were standing up for their love, refusing to let shame dictate their choices any longer. After what felt like an eternity, the supervisor leaned back in her chair, her expression softening. "I appreciate your honesty, but this is a complex issue. You both need to be aware of the consequences." "We understand," Sarah replied, her heart pounding, "but we're willing to face them together." The supervisor nodded, her eyes assessing them both. "Very well, I'll take this into consideration. However, I cannot guarantee there won't be repercussions." As they left the office, a wave of relief washed over Sarah, but it was tempered with uncertainty. They had faced the truth, but what lay ahead was still unknown. In the weeks that followed, the fallout from the revelation rippled through the hospital. Whispers followed them, and their colleagues' reactions ranged from supportive to judgmental. It was a testing time for both Sarah and Alex, but they leaned on each other, drawing strength from their love. Despite the challenges, their bond deepened. They discovered new facets of each other's vulnerabilities, dreams, and fears that has been hidden beneath the surface. The love that had once felt forbidden transformed into a powerful force that fueled their determination to face whatever came their way. As they navigated the storm, Sarah found herself in a place of clarity. The fear that had once held her captive began to dissipate, replaced by a sense of freedom. She learned to embrace the complexities of love via its challenges, its joys, and the lessons it imparted. And then came the moment when they had to face the repercussions of their choices head on. The administration called them in for a final meeting, a meeting that would determine their fate at the hospital. As they sat across from the supervisor, tension hung in the air like a thick fog. "After careful consideration, we've decided to implement a warning for both of you," the supervisor announced. "This is a serious breach of policy, but given your honesty and the circumstances, we believe it's the appropriate course of action." Sarah's heart raced. "Thank you for your understanding," she replied, her voice steady. "We will take this seriously." After the meeting, they stepped out into the bustling hallway, the weight of their decision finally lifting. The storm had passed, but the journey was far from over. They still had to navigate the complexities of their relationship, but they were no longer afraid. "Are you okay?" Alex asked, concern etched across his face. "Yeah," Sarah replied, her eyes shining with determination. "I think I am." As they walked hand in hand, Sarah felt a renewed sense of purpose. Love was often complicated, filled with choices that tested their commitment, but in the end, it was worth every moment of uncertainty. Over time, they forged a new path, one that was both rewarding and fulfilling. They learned to balance their personal and professional lives, finding ways to support each other while pursuing their individual passions. The whispers that had once surrounded them gradually faded into the background as their colleagues came to accept their relationship. They had proven that love could endure, even in the face of adversity. As months turned into years, Sarah and Alex's love blossomed into something beautiful. They traveled together, exploring new cities and immersing themselves in different cultures, their connection deepening with each shared experience. They created a life filled with laughter, art, and the kind of passion that ignited their souls. In the quiet moments, they often reflected on their journey, at the risks they had taken and the challenges they had faced. They learned that love was not just about the moments of joy but also about the strength to confront the storms together. One evening, as they strolled along the riverbank, the sun setting in a blaze of orange and pink, Alex turned to Sarah, a glimmer of mischief in his eyes. "You remember that first night we met at the gallery?" "Of course," she replied, a smile tugging at her lips. "How could I forget?" He chuckled softly. You were so intrigued by my art, but I was the one who was truly captivated by you." Sarah's heart swelled as she gazed at him, the warmth of his love enveloping her. "I never imagined we'd end up here, after everything." "Neither did I," he admitted, taking her hands in his, "but it's a journey I wouldn't trade for anything." As they stood there, the world around them faded, leaving only the two of them and the warmth of their connection. In that moment, Sarah understood the beauty of love via the way it could transform fear into courage, desire into fulfillment, and longing into belonging. Together, they had forged a bond that transcended the chaos of life, a bond that proved that love, even when it felt forbidden, could light the way through the darkest of times. And as they shared a kiss beneath the fading sun, Sarah knew that their love was a flame that would continue to burn brightly, no matter the obstacles they faced. In the end, they had learned that the greatest risks often led to the most profound rewards, and in each other, they had found a love worth fighting for, a love that could withstand the trials of life and emerge stronger than ever. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you enjoyed, then please like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.